So the sheriff leading the Nancy Guthrie case is facing a massive recall effort as frustrated local demand answers.
I'm looking for people to help us out, get involved, go out and get signatures. Let's get the sheriff out of office and get someone in there that we can feel confident in.
So Arizona congressional candidate Daniel Gutierrez told Fox and Friends that he already has 500 volunteers who are collecting signatures to replace Sheriff Chris Nanos. Meanwhile, the FBI is reportedly zeroing in on evidence from 2 dates in the days before the 84-year-old disappearance, January the 11th and the 24th. Retired NYPD inspector and Fox News contributor Paul Murrow was on the ground in Tucson when Nancy Guthrie first went missing. He's also the host of the weekly Rap Sheet on Fox Nation, and he joins us now. Paul, what do you make of all these developments? They're not happy with the sheriff, but does this help us get Nancy back home?
Well, I think the most hopeful thing, Lawrence, is the information about the 2 dates. Now, we don't know what that indicates, obviously, but the most hopeful read on it is that they're looking at somebody and they're trying to place that person or persons in the vicinity at that hour on those dates to see if, in fact, they can begin to work backwards from that. Less hopeful is, let's say they have something in the forensics, likely the digital forensics, either something from the camera or something from the cell towers, that shows some kind of unusual activity that they're trying to hone in on. Also could be a good lead, but not necessarily something as good as, let's say, okay, we're starting to focus on somebody and we're trying to put that person in that area.
So, Paul, initially, the sheriff said that Nancy Guthrie wasn't targeted. He's now saying this.
We believe we know why he did this, and we believe that it was targeted, but we're not 100% sure of that. And so it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, the biggest problem for this sheriff in terms of his communications, aside from the somewhat shambolic nature of the first 2 press conferences, is his lack of consistency.
Right.
The fact that he seems to be telling different news agencies different stories or different perceptions of where the case is going just doesn't lead to confidence. And unfortunately for him, there's also the problem that he seems to have lost a lot of his cops. There's no shortage of police officers coming forward and detectives on background, et cetera, coming out and saying that they don't have confidence in his leadership, and there really does seem to be a contentious relationship there. Once you've lost that, it's very, very difficult to get it back. Now, look, I want to be fair. It is a very easy reflex, and Lawrence, you and I were out in Idaho for the Koberger case a lot, and you remember the atmosphere out there.
Right.
We both dealt with that, right? Everybody said, this is not getting solved, these guys don't know what they're doing, and 2 of us stuck our chins out and said, that's not the atmospheric we're getting, and ultimately it was solved. So I don't know that his missteps were or are the reason this thing hasn't been brought in yet. They could be. But I think the biggest missteps here, and there have been a few, undoubtedly, is the public confidence in him and in the investigation.
Paul, such a good point. I guess I would say the one difference from our experience on the ground in Idaho is that the cops on the ground were quiet. They didn't give us anything.
Yeah.
And because they were secretly working. And I think he has confused people by the missteps and the different comments. Hopefully we can get Nancy home. That's what we're all praying for. Paul, it's good to see you, brother.